So for those who don't know who I am, I'm Thomas from Squads. I'm leading growth and content there, and Bastian, who's here, is our developer lead. And yeah, the idea of having me here was basically to present you the feature we built at Squad to basically allow you to manage the withdrawal authority of your validator with a multisig. Maybe a quick recap before we go into the matter. So, I mean, I'm sure most of you know like the withdrawal authority, how it works, but just I think quick recap around it can be great. So basically, this key acts as a master authority key. It can allows control over the most valuable assets of your validator. So it can be the restoring the reward, changing the commission rate, and as well as the validator identity. And right now, most setups of validator is pretty basic. So most validators simply use a simple key like a ledger or CLI wallet. And this is not the most optimal setup for most validator, especially for teams, because it brings several issues. The biggest one is basically you give all the decision-making power to one key, one people, and thus it's easier for unauthorized actions to happen. So let's say you're two guys managing a validator. It means if you're using a ledger, one person will be able to trigger bad actions like restoring the rewards without noticing you, which can be quite difficult for collective management. And on the other hand, the biggest issue with using only one key is basically that it can get compromised pretty easily. And as soon as the seed phrase is now, your assets are compromised and you cannot go back. So it's quite not the most optimal setup to manage the withdrawal authority. And as I've said, it's quite important to secure it in a good environment because you don't want your validator to be affected by maybe your co-founder who wants to do a bad action, or just because you got a malicious malware in your computer or whatever. So that's where basically multisig comes into play. If you don't mind, I can share quickly, give me one sec, just a graph about multisig. I think it can be easier just to illustrate how it works. So for those who don't know what a multisig is, it's basically a special program that holds assets on chain, and it's governed by multiple private keys instead of one single key or seed phrase. So when you create the multisig, you add several owners to it, and you set a threshold to execute transactions. So every time you want to perform a transaction for moving the assets held within it, you need the threshold to be reached. So that brings additional value for you to manage the assets, like the withdrawal authority key, and it can manage any on-chain assets, basically. So multisig can manage treasury assets like SPL tokens like USDC, SOL, and so on, but also authority keys. So if you're a DeFi protocol, you can manage the program authority there. If you have a token, you can manage the token mint authority. And for validator, you can manage your withdrawal authority with it, basically. And it allows you to split the control over your withdrawal authority to several stakeholders. So if you are 3 people managing your validator, you can basically add 3 keys or 4. It depends on what setup you want. But the idea is basically to split the ownership, the control of the withdrawal authority among multiple people. So every time you want to perform an action, let's say you want to change the commission, you want to withdraw the rewards, it will trigger a proposal, and basically it will require multiple people to sign. until the threshold is reached. So that allows you basically to prevent unauthorized actions on it. And also, let's say one of the key of the multisig is compromised, it doesn't affect at all your withdraw authority, and you can easily remove it with the other key of the multisig. So that's basically what we built at Squad. So I have actually a presentation for it. Give me just one sec. Yeah, here you go. So that's basically what we built at Squad. So not only for the withdraw authority key, but basically an interface to create multisigs and then manage on-chain assets like the withdraw authority key. And then from there, you can benefit from all the advantages I mentioned before. So collective management, splitting the ownership of the withdraw authority, and basically, since you also manage the withdraw authority from a multisig, you can withdraw the reward directly to it, and also store your revenue in a secure place, basically. And on top of that, we made like everything to make sure that it's the safest multisig on Solana. So the biggest one, I think, is the immutability part. So we burnt the authority key of the multisig, of the Squad's multisig program. So it means besides you, no one can access or move your withdraw authority key or your assets that are held within your multisig. So you're the true owner of it. We also, the code is also open source. It has been audited multiple times by AutoSec, Neodime, and you can basically check the logic behind it. And it's right now, I think the most used multisig on Solana. I mean, all the biggest projects right now are using it, Jupiter, Radium, Drift, Camino, Jito, Solend, Ellipsis, example, like quite a lot. And that's pretty much all. That also, I mentioned a lot that multisig is mainly adapted to teams and so on. Yeah, Zantetsu, you want to ask something?
I just wanted to ask a question while you're in this section. So
yeah.
Let's say the Squad's website went down or died. Is there tooling that I could use to do signing without having to go through any website, maybe doing it from the command line in some way that allows multiple, participants to sign a Squad's based multi-sig without, just because what if there's a, your website goes offline and suddenly I need to do something critical and I can't do it. So can you address that?
Yeah. Bastian, can you jump on this one? I think you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, right now we got a CLI tool. I can send a link if you want. It's open source on GitHub, and we got an SDK. Right now the CLI it's pretty basic, so you will be able to do the basic function. You can execute a transaction, you can vote on it, you can move mostly everything. The goal would be to have more more action possible from the CLI. But yeah, with the CLI SDK, if tomorrow the website goes out for some reason, you can still access it. So if you go a bit deep inside the CLI, you can add whatever you want inside, and so you will be able to recreate mostly every function you need. And we as the SDK right now, you can do mostly anything. Like I know Ilios is like nearly not using the UI. They only use the SDK to generate everything, vote on it, execute the thing. So you can clearly, I can send you the link for both if you want right now. Yeah.
Awesome. And yeah, lastly, I also wanted to mention that it's true that it's mostly built for teams and organizations, but it also works for single operators, because the idea behind, okay, wait a sec. I'm gonna answer the question in the chat just after. Yeah, basically the idea is with a multisig is to reduce the risk that will happen by using only one solution, like a hardware wallet. So you don't want to rely on one single entity, one single key for the security of your business, basically. And let's say you use only one hardware hardware wallet to hold this key. If for whatever reasons something happened to it, like a malicious upgrade is pushed and it affects your assets, you cannot go back. It's too late. Well, if you have a multisig, you can reduce those risks by basically adding 2 hardware wallets from different brands. And this means even if one key gets compromised, something like the brand fucked up for some reason, it's not a big deal for you because you've already split the ownership with another brand. And even though, like, let's say we take the Ledger, what happened with Ledger, to be honest, I think it's fine. Like, I will trust Ledger, but again, we're in crypto and you never know. So if you want the highest level of security for your withdrawal authority key, that's something you can consider and that some validators are doing, like Michael from Lane did it, for instance, last week. So really, multisig is not only about only for teams and organizations, but also for individual single operators if you want the highest level of security for it. It will for sure add some complexity. Every time you want to withdraw the rewards, change the commission, you'll have to use 2 keys, but at the end, it's a trade-off for better safety. I can maybe quickly show you the interface of the app so you can see how it looks. Give me just one sec.
At the validator, the
So
gates of the validator.
basically, from the squads interface, you can go under developers, click on validators, and add your validators from it. So add the name, the ID, identity, and then the key pair, and basically delegate the withdrawal authority key to your squad. And once it's done, you'd be able to manage. So we'll see, not here, but I can go back. But basically from here, you'd be able to manage the commission rate, withdraw the rewards, or if for whatever reason you want to go back and transfer the withdrawal authority key to your previous wallet, you can do it from the squad's interface again. And from there, you can withdraw the rewards to it. So it also adds all the advantages of multisig. So you'd be able to manage the SOL. You can also, if you're in the US or VAMP with our CoinFlow integration directly within your bank account. So that's also something nice. But yeah, the main goal here is to present the validator feature. So yeah, that's pretty much all about it. So I'm curious to know your thoughts, questions on this, and yeah, really don't hesitate to be vocal on this. Like if you think that something is missing, that for whatever reason sucks, I'd love to know why. I truly believe that it adds like benefits for you, for your operations as a validator. So unless maybe you're a single operator and you're using the VAMP program for Zantetsu, I think like having a multisig for managing the withdrawal authority key makes a lot of sense. Can maybe check the chat quickly.
Yeah, I wanted to go into the CLI a little bit deeper. So right now with the CLI, are you able to establish the multi-sig and manage it, or only manage it?
Hassan, you want to jump on this one?
Yeah, that's a good question because I didn't use it lately. I think we get a possibility to create from, but I will get a look, and if it's not the case, I will add the functionality because it's not really too complex to add it. Right now, I think it permits you to create it and manage. Let me run it. I must have it on my computer.
Okay, and then, but at a minimum, with the CLI, could you pass back the
Yeah, so
authority?
yeah,
to the-
you can create a
the signing
multisig
wallet?
directly from it.
Okay. And then at a minimum, as Anna said, let's say the website's down. So could you sign transactions using the CLI, or at least pass the authority back to the original wallet using the CLI in terms of recovery options?
So yeah, you can sign and do proposal execution from the CLI. Right now, for the validator part, we don't have the validator functionality in the CLI. So technically, if you want to get it out, you need to be able to craft yourself the transaction and use maybe more the SDK rather than the CLI. But if this is the kind of usage you can have, we can clearly have it maybe like during, I don't know for this week, but maybe next week, we can have the basic functionality. So you can at least do the move back withdraw authority to something else. So that would permit you to be able, at least if something go really wrong, to get it back from the CLI. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just some type of fallback mechanism, I think, would be helpful.
Yeah, sure.
And then being able to do it from whatever hardware wallets you support, I guess, as well.
Awesome. Yeah, Brian asked if squads charge a fee in the interface. That not at all. So everything is free. The only thing that you pay is the gas fees. But to delegate to withdraw authority, to withdraw the commissions, to do any operation within squads, you don't pay any additional fees than the gas fees. But to be honest, we're working on a new version of squads, so V4. So V3 won't change, it's immutable, we cannot do any change to it. But we're working on a new version of squad that will include a subscription model where we'll be able to, where we'll charge some for some features, but the basic features won't be included in this. So that means the validator part, as soon as you don't have like 10 withdraw authority keys, it should be fine. You won't pay anything. It's only for really power users that use squads a lot for multiple programs, treasury. And the idea is also to add integrations within squads and to basically have some sort of partnerships with the integrated protocol. So for instance, you're able to use Solana, options, realms within squads. So you can use your multisig to interact with DeFi protocols, and we want to offer more of that. And in that case, we'll take a fee on that. But again, it won't change your experience at all. And our goal is really to offer the best experience for managing on-chain assets on Solana. And so we don't want to charge for basic stuff. Michael asked, at Breakpoint, you showed a dedicated validator management CLI. Is that not available anymore? I wasn't there at that time, so maybe Bastien, you can answer this one. Because
Yeah, I think it was the based one. Based was only made at the moment to be immutable and so permitted. But it's not the same CLI tool as the actual V3 one that became immutable later. But if some of the functionalities were already here in base, I can probably just copy here fast. Right now, I'm just preparing my ticket, so I don't know where I can ping you guys when the functionalities are out for the CLI and if you want to communicate. But yeah, I will have it pretty soon on this, and I will see what we can extract from base to have it on the new CLI if you want to migrate on V3. Yeah.
I think we can ping you on the Solana Discord channel if that works for you guys. Yeah, we'll keep you posted on this. Any other thoughts, questions? Is there someone who thinks that's not great at all? Just curious, just to hear some thoughts on this.
Well, I can just add on my side that last week I migrated my validator to using a squads multisig. So I don't have much to add, but basically to say that it works, which I think is the main thing.
Michael, yeah.
I think the main concern is also not like a lack of trust in Ledger or anything like that, but validators obviously want to protect their withdrawal authority. It's the most valuable key, and if you use a hardware wallet, you still have that seed backed up somewhere, right, on a piece of paper, maybe 2 pieces of paper. So it's still a singular kind of point of failure if that gets in the wrong hands. So in my case, I just used squads to basically set up 2 hardware wallets. So even if a single seed is compromised, it doesn't affect the validator. So that's kind of my approach here.
Just to add to that, I mean, you can with the hardware wallet do something kind of cheesy that's similar. My hardware, I have it on paper, but I split the paper into 5 papers, and they're in 5 places. So it's like you can't get them all unless you get all 5 papers. But that's just a cheesy way to accomplish something somewhat similar. In a sense, you can do that.
Well, one of my hardware wallets is actually split up with a Shamir secret thing into 3. So it is kind of both. So it's 2 hardware wallets which are further subdivided. Yeah, obviously you can absolutely do that. It's just an additional layer of security. Yeah, but it works is the point I want to do.
Yeah, my point is not to say that it's not they're all bad ways to do it. It's just that there's not one way to do it. There are many ways to do these things, and everyone's gonna have to choose the way they find works best for them. I think the squads thing is awesome, and because it's so well designed and sort of there's a whole team behind creating usability, and I think that's very, very valuable. And I think people who want multi-sig, this is a great solution for that.
Thanks, appreciate it. All right. I think no one has any question. Yeah, Brian, just yeah, just one sec, Chris. Brian, just to on the fees. Yeah, we need a sustainable business model for sure. That's on our roadmap, but I don't think it makes much more sense to charge for like transaction fees, like every time you do an action within Squad. So the goal is more like to offer higher features. And if you want like better customer support, if you want really to use at max capacity squads, then you can take a subscription for it. And also to basically bring value within the Squads platform and with partners, so other protocol. Let's say, for instance, you want to stake your SOL, you want to lend your SOL. I don't know, you want to provide liquidity for your token if you're a DeFi protocol. That's something valuable for teams to offer that, and we can take a fee by working with those partners. So that's the idea, and it doesn't like affect your experience at all, because we really want we don't want to add frictions with those fees and so on.
Yep, that all sounds great. Looks good.
Yeah, Chris, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, which hardware wallets do you support? Is it dependent on a wallet that connects to your interface, or is it integrated directly?
Which wallet we support?
No, I'm sorry, which hardware wallet do you support?
Oh, Ledger, Keystone, OneKey, so the biggest ones.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, we are following the wallet standard. So right now, if something is going in the wallet standard, it will be already detected. We got mostly all the big adapters. I think the only native adapter right now on other wallets is only Ledger, I guess. But if you use Phantom, Backpack, or whatever that do a bridge, everything will work, I guess, if it's implemented. But if there is new other wallet that go something like Ledger with their own adapter, we can add it pretty fast. And if it's following the new standard made by Jordan, it will go right in without us doing any change here.
Yeah, for Keystone, for instance, you can use Solflare, so the Solflare extension, and for OneKey you can use Wallet Connect. So those are the biggest ones on Solana, I think, and they're all compatible with Squads. You just need either to use under a hot wallet or the Wallet Connect extension.
All right, thanks.
Awesome. I think we don't have any more questions. Thanks, guys. It was a pleasure to present the whole feature. And again, if you have any questions, you need any assistance or whatever, just ping me or drop me a message, and we'll help you with pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Going to drop your Discord IDs in the chat there.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. All right. So Zach, you want to give a brief introduction to VAMP, I guess, in the context of either comparing or contrasting?
Yeah, I'll keep it really brief because it's already been presented a couple times. I'll just drop a real quick link in the chat to the GitHub repo that has a lot of documentation. There was already a video that I made in one of the validator meetings where I described it. So I won't. You can go read that if you want. You go watch that if you want that kind of description. But it's the opposite of what what Squads is doing. It's no well-designed UI. It's the simplest possible thing, and it's really just what I think the vote account should have been structured as, to provide a separate set of keys to control different aspects instead of having essentially one key rule everything. And so it's the smallest possible layer around the regular vote account program. It's been audited. It's written in very simple code. It's a very small program. It's non-upgradable. I did everything I could think of to make it as much of this most minor incremental addition to the regular vote account program as possible. And it just provides you to split instead of going wide like Squads would do, where you have multiple people having control over one key, it goes deep. It has 5 keys instead of 1 key, so that you can, and it separates the actions that each of those keys can take so that you can more directly control the level of exposure that you want for each of those keys according to what you're going to do with that key. It's totally optional. I'm not even pressing anyone to use it. Use it if you want. Don't use it if you don't want. I don't even care. I use it because I hope you all eventually have commission and can earn vote rewards. But when you do, you'll find that it's a bit of a pain to move those around. So I have an automated scripting that runs every day that just rebalances my accounts. And you can't do that, if you have to have a human in the process, doing the signing. So I have my withdrawal is actually controlled by a key that can do nothing else except withdraw. And it's stored in a place where it can run in a script daily in a fairly safe place. And if that gets lost, then gets compromised, that the worst that can happen is someone can get 1 day's worth of rewards that haven't been taken since the previous day, which would suck, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. And I would just replace that key, since the way that VAMP works is with a hierarchy of authorities. I can just replace that key using one of the authorities I already have and keep in a safer location. Yeah, so then in terms of Squads, I talked already with Thomas about this, and what it could add to Squads is if it can add the deepness while still allowing the wideness. So you could, if it was integrated into Squads, then you could use it to set up your vote account such that you had multiple keys that you could then have multiple signing authorities for. So you could, if you had a really complex organization, have one group of people that are responsible for having authority over withdrawing, doing nothing other than withdrawing rewards or rebalancing accounts, and other people that have authority over other actions. And you could maybe use a different Squads multi-sig for those people. But honestly, we're getting into pretty esoteric use cases, and I don't know that anyone's ever even going to do that. But the other thing that VAMP does is as someone said, it'd be really cool if we had a way to limit commissions. In addition, so it has a feature where voluntarily you can choose to set a limit on your commission so that you cannot change it except within the limits that you've set. And that may be useful to some people because they may want to give promises to stakers about commission that they want to be able to put some bite behind, instead of just making a promise that they made. As we've seen, people will break those promises all the time. They don't mean anything really, but this will actually allow that promise to mean something if you really want it to. I personally am against commission promises, so I don't even think that's something people should be doing. But if you're going to do it, this at least allows you to have some weight behind that promise. The only thing I'll add is that it's possible that the delegation program may want to use VAMP, and we've had some discussions about it, just as a way to protect themselves from, getting rug pulled on commission. But that's not relevant to anyone that's not the delegation program, because that's going to be their, they're going to drive that requirement if they want it. So anyway, I gave the link to VAMP, and if you want to read more about it, I'm always happy to answer questions about it. Just think of it as the most minimal possible addition to the vote account program to give what I think should have been the original structuring of the keys within that program. That's all.
All right, thanks. Does anybody have any questions on that? If not, we'll move on to the PR discussion.
Should I stop recording now, or?
So did you say stop or start?
Yeah, stop.
Oh yeah, stop.